that beginning of death.
Welcome to Parapausal Campfire Stories.
I just wanted to come on really quickly and say thank you to all our new subscribers. We love you, and we hope that you continue to enjoy Parapausal's hot flashes and paranormal chills. Now, on with the show.
With special guest, paranormal soul brother, Xandean.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Parapausal Campfire Stories. We are going to continue our stories, but from last week. But before that, let me introduce everybody. I'm Staci, I'm the host, and Christy is back with us, so we're happy to have her. Everybody knows Johnny, but our special guest tonight is Xandean, also known as the Paranormal Soul Brother, and he is just probably one of the most intelligent people I know in my entire life. He especially knows about aliens. So don't you shake your head at me, young man. So last week we were talking about aliens and the beaming into the head and talking to us and why we didn't get on the moon, but we did end with Lori posing a question. Are aliens pranksters? Because they can let us see what they want us to see. So do they have a sense of humor? There's a question for us all. And I'm going to let Xandean start because he has got some stories about this and whether or not they are or are not pranksters. So Xandean, take it away, my dear.
Thank you for having me on your show. First of all,
Of course.
I love everybody on the panel. Like I watched the show, the episodes, and I like your style.
Thank
And
you.
I'm happy to come on and just talk about some light stuff. You know, everybody's so serious about are the aliens, are they demons, are they not? You know, getting scared about. I mean, they're like a whole lot of things, and but some things, there are a whole lot of things, but sometimes they're funny. So like right now we're talking about, close encounters of the funniest kind or the awkward kind, because some of the humor they have, it's that they're bizarre. If you could really take away some things, it's not that like they are, we're researched or something. It's that like they have some kind of riddle. We don't understand like what they do. If you really think about it, that in itself is crazy. But we were talking, there's a gentleman named Jim Sparks who in the 90s, he used to talk to like Art Bell, different people. He was a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the distinction of being the most abducted. I even believe in it. And sometimes it was in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most abducted person, it's like, so, but he.
I don't think I want that title.
Yeah. And he talked about how for 6 years, every time they would abduct him, there were two ways. He would hear like either a whooshing sound or humming sound, and he'd know that they were coming, or it'd be light, and they'd take him in this light through walls and through anything, which we've heard, if anybody in the and like kind of, knows anything about abductions or UFOs, they know they use this light that kind of transcends our physics. It can take a person through solid walls, like the Manhattan. There was a case in Manhattan where they did that. But this, in this particular case, he said that for 6 years they were taking him, and he would cuss him out every time. He said he would cuss. He said he just didn't understand. He didn't want to be taken against his will. He was a real estate agent. His wife would wonder, like thinking she thought something was wrong, was a strain on his marriage. And he just said, "Hey, look, I didn't ask for this, And so he said after a while he realized that they were trying to do something, and what it was, he thought that maybe they were trying to bridge the gap with the language, like much like an ant. An ant is really intelligent. We just don't have a language with
Right.
it, and so he kind of likened it unto that. So he said that every now and then he would do things like they would let him play, and he said when he cooperated and he didn't cuss him out as much as he did, he said they would like do what he called like fun things. So one time they had him in a stainless steel room, and they had some electrodes to his head. He said, and they had a triangle with a rounded bottom, and they asked him. They said, "Hey, move that with your mind. Move that 180 degrees." And he's cussing him out. What the? Do you think I can do that? Do you think that's what human do? So he's going through it, and they tell him, "Hey, look, just try it." And so he said after about a week of them prodding him, trying to get him to do it, he said one time he was able to do that. And so what they did was, he said, "Now here's the bizarre, funny stuff." They told him, he said, "Come back in this room." They had him in the room, and he said they had these spindly fingers, and they put a little box on a stainless table, and they slid it to him, and they said, "Look at that box, open it." And he says, what is it?" And he said, "Well, don't you at least want to just take a look?" And they're saying this telepathically. And so he says that he did everything. He tried to break the box, couldn't get it open, and he's like, basically, for expletives, forget this, and just when he was ready to like break it or at least try to and go crazy, one of them put his finger out and he opened the top, and he said, "Well," and it was black liquid in there, and he said, "Well, what is this?" And he's just like, but they said, "Hey, well, we asked you about your smoking, and we told you that wasn't good, but we did you a favor. We cleaned out your lungs for you." That he said the stuff really stunk too. Anyway, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, he said he said that we cleaned out your lungs for you, and that's basically the byproduct. And he said he didn't know if he believed it or not. He said he felt better. He said he could breathe better, and he said that was one of the first things. He said, but they were like, so you were basically throwing a fit for
Oh,
for what? And then another time he talked about that when they abduct people, like they don't know about. He said they're not omnipotent, at least the ones he was dealing with. He said that they obviously don't know about our clothes, because sometimes in mass abductions you see people half naked, people with their clothes on backwards, just not. And so he said there was a big a warehouse room where it was a lot of people, and he believed that this was coordinated with different countries. He believed that they were doing it on a mass level as well. That's just a side note. But he said that these people would have clothes next to them from when they were abducted, but it'd be kind of dark, and they'd say, "Hey, you know what? For something in telepathically, like you're getting ready to be returned. You're going back home. Get your clothes on." And when they put the clothes on, they'd be all backwards, or they'd be the wrong clothes, mismatch. And he said, "Is this some kind of effing joke? Like, do you think this is, And that's what he thought that was like their type of sense of humor. And but he, of course, he didn't like that. And I've heard that before from a gentleman in a book called Above Top Secret, where he was an NSA agent in Virginia. And he worked on coordinates that were coming through a headphone. That the base he was on, you had to be blindfolded for an hour when they traveled there. It's really secret, compartmentalized. And so he said he thought that these were these voices that were given the threshold. They never told him who or what it was. They were just getting coordinates in a headphone. And he said, "Hey, I don't think these are human." And he said they had this weird way of the transmissions. He said that they had a weird way of like ignoring whatever you were saying, like they were perhaps better. And then he said they went to another part where they were telepathic, and he said he knew that these were something else.
yeah.
And he said that they were really arrogant for a while. He couldn't talk to them. He tried to, crack jokes, say all kind of stuff, and they just wouldn't respond. And then one day he said to him, he said, "Are you God?" And they said, "Well, we think you know the answer to that." So, weird stuff like that. He go, "Yeah, we think you know the answer to that." And so he said after a while, he kind of got a handle on the way they were looking or the level of communication they had. But so that's weirdness.
Huh.
something that's even funnier, if you think about it like this, Alan J. Hynek, the great ufologist, he said, "Hey man, listen, they're pranksters, they're tricksters. They want to turn the lights on, turn the lights off. They want to make objects appear, disappear." That he was the one that was really chronologing that. Whether he really believed in them or not, it's just what he heard people say. And he used to joke. He was like, "Hey, listen, man, if you're an alien and you're like a rookie and they're seeing you on your first mission, you got to learn your catchphrases. When you first give your first, communication, you should say, do not be afraid. We will not hurt you." You have to learn those if you're going to be a good alien. You come down because, so
Yeah.
Heineck said, "Yeah, do they have a script or something? Because they're all saying the same crap to everybody." And,
Probably.
but on
They
a certain,
probably have classes.
so, there's stuff like that. And before I go on, what do you guys think about, the strangeness of what they do? I know you guys have heard, I've witnessed, or I've heard about strange things they do, What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, I think there's enough evidence there, that they do have a sense of humor. And you also think about it, just like us, humans. We don't have the same personality. We all have different personalities, and so it just kind of would make sense that maybe some of these interstellar travelers that are visiting us are like Spade's college bros, and going out and doing their thing is
Yeah.
seems like to me. You
Going
have,
on a college trip
Space
for
College
spring
Bros. I
break.
like that.
yeah. You've got the serious researchers that
Mhm.
be watching over us and interacting with us, using us as to study, and then you've got the ones that are just like, watch this. Let me freak these guys out here.
Oh my gosh. Well, what do you think, Christy?
Well, okay. First of all, when he says they have like the phrases, that they have to learn or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be like us going to a foreign country for the first time. Possibly, not knowing the language. What do you need to learn? Where's the bathroom? Is the water safe to drink? That's what
Right?
we need to know as humans. So those, it would make sense. They were like, "Don't shoot us. We come in peace."
Yeah.
You know?
You better have that line down.
Yeah, especially if you go to Texas. I'm
do.
just saying.
Especially
Yes. What?
open carry.
And I 100% think they're pranksters.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to refer to this specific program that I watched because it's where I got like the most drawn into it and where I wanted to look deeper into, how interactive they are with the human race.
Right.
And that was the documentary series on Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
And I can't remember. I wish I could remember the guy's name, but he was the ufologist, basically,
Okay.
that was trying to set up all these experiments, right? And they would run the same experiment 50 times. And like to see, okay, we know that there's like a portal that opens up here,
Right.
but does it open there at the same time every day?
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes they would see vehicles, sometimes they wouldn't,
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I also, this is another reason I think they're pranksters. All of the crop circles, Stonehenge, although Stonehenge does have stuff that goes back to Celtic as well with calendars and things like that.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just graffiti.
Or maybe they just set it there so that because they knew we would question what it was hundreds of years later, and they're like,
Yeah,
we're going
it's
to
like,
mess with
This
these
is
people.
a long time joke.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
crop circles, maybe it's just graffiti,
Could be. Could be.
Well, no, it's funny you say that because like what you said, they're now saying that some of the UFOs that have left, now that they research and say that we've reverse engineered them, that like 80% of the stuff you see sometimes is our stuff. And they said that if those things are that advanced, like why would they crash? So maybe perhaps they've left them here for us because like if you put a motorcycle like in the old Wild West, they'll probably prod it and get it to start at
Right.
some point over and over, but they might not know how to make the plastic frame or or the
Yeah.
fender or whatever. But who knows? They may have left that for us. But back to what like what you said, um, with the Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know how far they went back on that, but it was the Gorman Ranch. The people that originally owned that, they had cattle and had the
Yeah.
expensive cattle would they get killed, and they would have that giant wolf that they caught one time that actually turned into like this little blue disc. Do you remember that part in the story?
Yes, I do.
Yes. And so
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
you
yeah
guys
she
have
could.
to
I'll
explain
let
this.
Christy. You want to tell her
That
about that?
that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
but
Well, we
but
can
but but
do that.
basically,
Yeah.
but basically, they had when they would have gatherings like picnics and stuff. The first people that owned it, the wife complained about like she would brush her hair, put the brushes in one drawer, they'd be in another drawer. The locks would be reversed inside out, items placed, and but they saw a lot of locks on the door. They bought the ranch, and the Indians told them don't do it. But
Yeah.
it was some of the doors came with a lot of locks and everything, and they were kind of curious about that. But
Yeah.
the livestock they had, some of them were like 150,000. These things they were breeding, and one day he went to feed them, and he kind of walked around, fed the other one, and he heard like, and he looked at one of them, its babies were dead.
Yeah.
And he
Oh.
thought like first thing he thinking was and then first thing he was really upset. He was like, well, who could have done it? Like so he's thinking wolf and or whatever wild animal. So they went through all
Coyotes.
that for a while, and it kept happening. And, that was a lot of money, life, and love, and so but they saw it one time at a picnic with the family full in view. One of them came and they said this wolf is not like we're talking like elk size, like really
Right.
big, not like a regular wolf, and it's for all accounts from what I read, it just because I heard a lot about on Art Bill originally, in the '90s, because they had the original owners on, and it went through
Right.
stages, but they were at a picnic and this thing came sauntering around with the kids around, and it went straight to a cage where one of the bulls were, and it like through the cage it killed this
Yeah.
this killed the baby,
Just tore it up.
just tore it up.
Tore it up.
Oh.
And so at that point they had the shotguns. One guy had like a 30-aught, and they had some really powerful weapons that they were shooting at it, and it just stood there. Chunks came off, but nothing, like it didn't really seem like it phased it to them, and that made them more scared. It didn't seem like it phased it, but then it sauntered off in the bushes, and they saw like smoke, like blue smoke. So when they went over there to really see what had really happened, when they got up, enough to go over there, it was like what they said was like a blue plate or disc, like when
Yeah.
you throw up those kind of clay targets, about
Yeah.
that size from what they described. It wasn't the size of the wolf. But
Right.
the NIDS, National Institute for Science and Discovery, that with those scientists, they were hired, after before that by after that by Bigelow. You remember the story about Bigelow, the aerospace engineer who hired all the scientists, but they said stuff was happening 24. They couldn't even, wherever they didn't point, it was happening 360 degrees. It didn't matter
They had
where you had
50
the camera.
cameras. They
Yeah.
had 50
Okay.
cameras on that ranch.
Yeah. All right. Well, hold
And-
on a second now. So,
But pranksters.
yes, do
Yeah.
we think that the wolves that turned into the blue discs? Do we think that was kind of like their way of like is that alien related
Well,
or
that's like what Willie Streeper said. If you talk about like sometimes when they come to you, maybe they come in an image or come in a way that's more familiar to you. You have a lot of
right?
kids talking about that. I came as Bugs Bunny or they came as a mermaid. What Johnny. I see. I think you know what I mean.
I haven't heard about the coming as Bugs Bunny.
No.
Yeah.
That's
Willie
new.
Streeper was talking about that. Yeah, that they often come, but to him it was the owls. He always saw owls, and to him, if he sees an owl or deer, like really kind of like, okay, wait a minute, the communication is back in full effect.
Hmm.
That is so crazy. You're just thinking that these things, uh, you know, uh, aliens, we don't even know if they like being called that. Now, when we were discussing last week, we all kind of had a whole thing about what everybody has said here right now. That you've got your good ones, you've got your bad ones, and then of course you've got your funny and your prankster ones that are the college people going on vacation. the college aliens going on vacation.
Yep.
Earth's spring break. And I really like kind of looking into the idea of some of these things that are unexplained, like Stonehenge or the crop circles or thing. I like that idea that it may have been a prank by these aliens to really have us, and they're sitting up there laughing, watching us, and being like, yeah. So when you look at it in the sense of we're like the TV show. I used to, since I was little, all right, and I used to lay out on the car and we'd look up into the sky, and my friends or my family and I would always be like, you know what? I bet you each one of our lives is a different TV show for these aliens. So you've got your drama, you've got your love, so of course you're going to have your comedy, right?
Yeah, you know what? That's funny. That's funny. There's some truth. You know what? There is some truth to that. It remind me in a little bit to show you this UFO. This is footage. It was like from San Francisco, like
Okay.
modern
All
day.
right.
But there's a guy I was friends with on Facebook that we were just friends about blues. And it was
Blues?
nothing.
Oh, blues. Yeah, blues.
Yeah, he liked blues. He was from Montana, with nothing about political views, nothing about anything. He's grandfather, good dude, and he just played with his grandkids. But he told me, we was talking about blues, but then somebody saw he was a friend and they said, hey, you know that guy? And I was like, yeah, like, what's up? And they were like, well, he's been abducted. They want to interview, but he's not friendly like that. Does he talk to you? I said, nah, we don't. That's his business. We don't get into that.
Oh.
And he's like, well, you're into that. He's into that. And blah blah blah. I'm like, well, no, we just talk about music. And one day he did mention something, but his angle on it was, hey, look. You want to see you think you want to have you want to have fun with this. You think it's fun? He said, I don't think it's so fun. He said to me, he said, 10 years of them taking me up, telling me they love me, bringing me back down, and it sometimes hurts, sometimes doesn't, telling me they're my brother. He said, the theory I have is that they got 2 hours to play in this lab, do whatever they want, they have fun, they do their thing, and then they got to go back. He said, and that's what I think. So he really got tired of it. He said that when they first approached him, or how he got abducted, he saw a red light while he was working on something in the yard. And next thing he knows, he said he was on a 10-year journey with that. But he said that he was through with it when he was out there working on something with his son. His son was on his big wheel.
Oh, no.
And he saw a green light, and he thought, that green light will dazzle my baby. And so he said he looked, and the big wheel was empty. He said he was looking for him all around, said couldn't find him. He said it was like a half hour, 40 minutes. And then he said he saw, after about 40 minutes, he saw the big wheel on the side of the garage, not where he was. and he went over and his son was there. But after that, he was just really, really pissed as far as what he relayed to me. Now, I mean, I'm not claiming this is true or not. I'm just telling the story. It's an entertainment purposes.
Hey, this is exactly. That's all this channel is. It's just us BSing like we're friends sitting around a campfire. So, and our wonderful campfire is right here.
These are stories,
Exactly. So I would like to pose the question then, and it's just kind of shifting gears. So, Johnny, I'm going to start with you. Why do you think people get abducted? Certain people get abducted, and they keep getting abducted. Do you have any kind of a theory on why they pick and choose certain people?
And the same people over and over again? That's just been one of those great mysteries. Is it because they had such a great interaction? Maybe whatever it is that they're trying to find, they find it in those people, and so it's like, they're real easy to get, so we're going to keep getting them time and time and time again. Like the stories that Xandean's been talking about. The repeated and getting angry about it. Well, they don't care that you're angry about it. They're still going, you're easy. We're going to keep getting you because you are accessible. Yeah. I think that's one theory that I've got, is that accessibility.
Okay, all right, that's a good theory. Yeah, I like that. And kind of in the thing of we get angry and they don't care. It could be like some of the alien groups, they don't understand that that's what they don't, or maybe there's a different way.
Yeah, I mean, if there's the telepathic communication taking place, they understand that. I mean, unless anger is just a completely foreign concept to them, that they don't understand anger at all.
Or any emotion whatsoever. I mean, I've seen it where a lot of people say, well, they just don't have any emotions. They can't process that because they have no basis of comparison for it in where they, I guess, grew up or whatever. But I can understand accessibility. Okay, Christy, and what do you think? Why are people getting abducted? Certain people and others not.
I have no idea, but I wanted to know because through, me being on here, I have had easily hundreds I've seen UFOs hundreds of times. Mm-hmm. But as far as I know, I've never been abducted.
Right,
no missing
there
time?
You go. Do what?
No missing time ever?
No. And it usually, most times, it wasn't just me that saw them. It was me and my dad, or me and other members of our family.
Wow.
Like
because she's seen them pretty much all her life, from as far back as she can remember.
Yeah, like the age of 2 or 3, I remember seeing UFOs.
Yeah.
But they could still be dealing with you because they have things like and Jim Sparks talked about this ironically too, that we're talking about him. He said that some people, they leave the message and they take the memory away. Some people, they get a screensaver. And I've heard Willie Strieber, I've heard John Mack, Robert John Mack talk about, sometimes they put something in place.
If you've got a scary story you'd like to tell on Parapausal, we would love to have you on. Or if you'd like to stay anonymous, you can always email us at parapausal@gmail.com and we will read your story on air.
Like, comment, and subscribe.